Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday evening. Welcome to Nightly Scroll. I'm Haley Karania. Just a quick update from yesterday's show. If you were watching and you saw that we had a lizard in studio, nowhere to be found today. So we have no idea where he went or she went. No idea how they got in the first place. But anyway, so if, again, it's still, Andy, it can still happen. The lizard can still drop from the ceiling and hit me in the head or hit the... Don't do that.
He's dead, but like maybe not.
I don't want him.
We'll smell him in a day or two.
I'm so gullible. Don't do that. And I'm jumpy too. Someone said he's in the desk drawer. No drawers in this desk, so he is not in there. But we're gonna keep an eye out. But there's no lizard cam today because he's nowhere to be found. So just an update, quick update. If you want to join all my homies in the chat, you got to do it on Rumble. Rumble.com/Haley is the only place you can watch this show. If you want to catch it later on, you can do that. Catch it on your favorite podcast platforms. If you want to listen, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, just search for Nightly Scroll with Haley. Make sure that you're subscribed everywhere. Even if you watch the show on Rumble every night, you can still go over to Spotify and like it, leave 5 stars, leave a review. Anything that you can do, it always helps. So all the engagement, I love everyone in the chat. It's so much fun. And let's get into the show, shall we? President Trump jumped in front of Attorney General Pam Bondi today, questions-wise, after a reporter asked about Epstein. Seemingly an attempt to downplay the entire case. Very strange video. We're going to play it. Plus, California state Republicans want a Reagan-style amnesty bill for illegal aliens. Don't think that's in the cards. Biden's White House physician, Kevin O'Connor, tried to delay testifying in front of the House Oversight Committee, but Congressman Comer has denied that request. So he should be on Capitol Hill tomorrow. We shall see how it goes. I'd be interested to find out what he has to say about Biden and his failing mental health and physical health for that matter. Plus, TSA will drop their shoe removal policy that's been in place for almost 20 years now. We'll get into it. We'll have a big discussion about the evils of TSA and all of that. So much to get to on this episode of Nightly Scroll. All right, a reporter asked Attorney General Pam Bondi about Epstein. This all stems, obviously, from yesterday's memo coming from the FBI, essentially saying that the case is closed. They said that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. They released a video that had a minute missing, and, it's all just up in the air. Meanwhile, they're saying that case is closed, so obviously there are a lot of questions, and a reporter had a question for Attorney General Pam Bondi. He asked that question in the cabinet meeting today, but Trump stepped in front of her. Watch this.
Sure. Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for an American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the
Yeah, sure.
Pam, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
When I saw this, this was insane. My friend sent this clip to me earlier this morning, and I thought, well, that's sketchy. That's my first thought, because many things can be true at once. There can be more important, pressing emergencies happening right now in the country. Of course, the catastrophic and deadly floods in Texas. Certainly, reporters have important questions about that. But that doesn't mean that the bombshell memo that the FBI dropped yesterday is old news and nobody can ask about it. That's insane. That was yesterday's biggest story. So when the president cuts in front of Attorney General Pam Bondi and asks this reporter and kind of shames this reporter for asking this question, I will call out the mainstream media at any turn. If they ask a dumb question, I will say that's a dumb question. That reporter had every right to answer that question. That was valid. So to answer President Trump's questions about why ask about Epstein, because yesterday the DOJ said the case is closed and Pam Bondi didn't say anything about it. Caroline Leavitt was the one answering questions. So why wouldn't this all prompt questions? I still have questions. A lot of people have questions, and they have a lot of explaining to do. Lots of people, the American people, are questioning the existence of the client list. And maybe like a list doesn't exist in the sense that, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell had some black book with names and dates and details of all of their crimes. But why wouldn't authorities have a list of suspected criminals to investigate? Why couldn't they validate the existence of that list? A list of suspects, rather. And they can at the very least say that they have that. I understand you can't release a list of names without proof, without a shadow of a doubt that these people are implicated. You can't just say, yeah, we're looking into these people. They might be implicated. They might not be. That's dangerous. So I understand you just can't claim that people are pedophiles when they're not. So maybe they can't do that. Maybe they don't have the clear-cut evidence to put these people on trial, to charge these people with anything. Maybe they just don't have enough to put someone in jail. There are a lot of people speculating on the internet who have no clue what evidence there is or isn't. I don't know what evidence there is and isn't. Maybe the evidence that they do have, if they do have it, was tampered with. These are all questions that need to be answered. All this to say, if these answers are still out there, the questions are still out there, how can the case be closed? And why is President Trump downplaying this? It's huge. It's a huge story, and the administration is downplaying how much of a campaign issue this was for people. I keep reading people's testimonies online. I voted for Donald Trump because I wanted transparency. This is huge. They're running on transparency, and then all of a sudden, they're lacking in that department. It's clear that the American people are not over this, and we're not going to be over it until we get sufficient answers. We, the people, do not play when it comes to children. And I know that the FBI is working to take down pedophiles. I know that they are. Dan has said many times that if you abuse children, he is coming for you. The FBI is coming for you. The DOJ is coming for you. I believe him when he says that. I do. So why would President Trump put out a Truth Social post yesterday applauding Director Kash Patel, Deputy Director Dan Bongino, unleashing them to make America safe again, and then downplay closing the most high-profile pedophile case in history before anyone else is arrested? It couldn't have just been Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, so who else? You can't just say, we're done here, because we're not done here. And it's not like President Trump can just come out and say to this reporter, shame this reporter for asking this question, and you think that people are just going to forget? That people are just going to take that and say, oh, well, President Trump says that we shouldn't care about this, so we're not going to care about it anymore. It doesn't fly like that. This is the kind of stuff that gets people riled up. This is going to have the opposite effect. Trump wants this to go away for some reason. It's not going to go away if they act like this. So let's get into Attorney General Bondi's response, because she did address the reporter. Let's play this.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
Mr. President,
Just based on these answers and how many questions the reporter did have, there needs to be a larger press conference. Attorney General Bondi has more questions to answer, clearly. I say, let reporters and people in new media ask questions. Answering a few questions in a cabinet meeting is clearly not good enough. And I don't think having White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt carry water and field these questions on her, Pam Bondi's behalf, is good enough either. Pam Bondi needs to answer them. So let's get into everything that she said in this video. She was asked about the tens of thousands of videos that she claims were all child porn downloaded by Epstein. Is that everything, or is it videos of Epstein abusing children? Big difference. Also, if it's the latter, and I asked this question on the show yesterday, is there anyone else on the tapes? Is it just Jeffrey Epstein with children, or is this just porn that Jeffrey Epstein downloaded? Based on her answer in this cabinet meeting, that seems like that's what it is, but I would like clarification on that. Then the Bureau of Prisons, and I mean, this is just, why do they have video capability from 30 years ago? Why has it not been updated in 30 years? That's insane to me. I don't know why the Bureau of Prisons, they have security cameras that reset every night, and then there's a 60-second lag. The cameras reset for a minute every night. There's a missing minute of video every single night. Really? I'm kind of over all the camera shenanigans at Manhattan Correctional. Get rid of them. Knock the place down and rebuild it, and get everyone who works there, just redo it. We have to redo it. Start over. Because whatever they have going on there is not sufficient. What do you mean their cameras are from the 90s? It's from 1999. I'm glad that they're investigating this, whether or not this is true, because it's insane. There has to be 24/7 surveillance in prisons. Just crazy. Then, I'm just thinking out loud here. If there's like 60 seconds of video that's missing every night, do the guards know that? Do the inmates know that? Can people use that to their advantage? That's another thing I would like to know. Is this public information? Do people in the Bureau of Prisons know this? Do people who work at Manhattan Correctional know that there's that gap where every night this is going to lag?
One of the things that I've read since yesterday was that even though the missing footage is there, that camera is on the second floor looking down onto the first floor. So you see, and we saw in that video yesterday, the guards and everybody walking on the first floor. But you don't have to have a gap in the footage to not be seen by the footage, because there's a whole part of the first floor that's closer to the camera that you can't even see because it's blocked by the floor. So, I mean, it's not even the best angle to justify.
Well, all the good angles are missing, Andy. So if you were looking for a good angle, you're not going to find it. Then Pam Bondi claimed that the video is inconclusive, but the inconclusive video still proved that he killed himself, because with the cameras that happened to be operational, that they couldn't prove anyone had been in or out despite the missing minute. So it was inconclusive, but conclusive enough for them to make that distinction. Then Bondi also said she couldn't answer whether or not Jeffrey Epstein was a foreign agent. She was looking into getting that answer, she said. So I will be looking forward to that if we get it. And whatever the answer ends up being, we need to know how that conclusion was made. Now, I have seen a 2008 FBI document that says Jeffrey Epstein had some sort of an agreement with the state of Florida and has provided information to the FBI when needed. So is Pam Bondi just parsing words? That maybe there's FBI evidence of him being an informant, but for who or for what reason she doesn't know? Again, I don't know. I haven't seen all the documents, but I'm saying there are official FBI documents that say that he was informing / working with the FBI. So again, would love to know more details.
How'd he make $700 million if that wasn't some part of it?
I have said this before, and I will say it again. I don't care who it pisses off. I have personal reasons for hating pedophiles. Most people do, but for me, it is very personal. I know firsthand what kind of abuse, how it affects victims, and I understand how delicate these cases are. I understand that you're not going to release footage of victims being abused, things like that. I get it. I don't care who's implicated. Let me say that very clear. I do not care who this implicates. If the man sitting in the White House, who I voted for 3 times and fully support, is implicated, I want him to be held accountable. If world leaders are implicated, I don't care. My stance is hold them all accountable. Burn it to the ground if you have to, but this is my hard line issue. When it comes to children, when it comes to pedophiles, you got to choose a side. And I'm happy to do that. That's an easy decision for me to make. So again, I'm not saying that the FBI needs to come up with evidence that doesn't exist. I'm not saying throw people in jail willy-nilly to appease us. But we are owed explanations as to why the evidence isn't there. Because this issue is not going away. As much as people want to sweep it under the rug, Trump saying, why do you even care about this? I haven't heard Jeffrey Epstein's name in years. Why are you even asking about him? It is best that this is dealt with head on, because the handling of this has been very poor so far, and these statements today are on par with that. That's where I stand for right now. Let's get into Republicans calling for amnesty. So let's pull up this article here, or not article, but this is the letter that 6 California Republican state senators sent to President Trump. They sent a letter saying, we're Republican legislators in California. We support upholding the rule of law. We support, the border wall and throwing violent criminals in jail. They all said this. So this letter's from State Senator Suzette Valladares. She is one of them. This is Senator Brian Jones, Senator Rosely Ochoa Bowe, Assemblymember Heath Flora, Assemblymember Diane Dixon, Assemblymember Laura Davies. These 6 individuals have sent this letter to President Trump, essentially saying that California is hurting from the poor immigration policy from our previous president and because of the state legislature, but also because of these ICE raids. They were very concerned about ICE raids. So this is part of the letter that I want to read to you all. We have heard from employers in our districts that recent ICE raids are not only targeting undocumented workers, but also creating widespread fear among other employees, including those with legal immigration status. This fear is driving vital workers out of critical industries, taking California's affordability crisis and making it even worse for our constituents. Now, why are people who have legal status afraid of mass deportations and sweeping ICE raids? I don't know why. Why would you be afraid of being deported if you are not doing anything wrong? Someone explain this to me like I'm 5. I don't understand. Are business owners and illegal aliens, by the way, calling their Republican state senators to tell them that they're hiring illegal aliens Are they claiming that this is a disruption to the workforce? Is that an admission of guilt? Are you admitting that you hired illegal aliens? And then are illegal aliens complaining to their representatives saying, I'm afraid to go to work? Because all of this sounds insane to me. If you hired illegal workers for cheap, that's going to stop now. If you are an illegal alien, you are going to be held accountable now. And I am sorry for people who were duped by the Biden administration. They were sold a bill of goods that said, come over here willy-nilly, no rules, but the party's over. The party's over. You can't hire illegal aliens and you can't be here illegally. This is not hard to understand. And I do agree that there needs to be a streamlined path to citizenship. However, I do not agree that President Trump needs to sign some amnesty bill just because Ronald Reagan did it. President Trump ran on strong borders, and he should hold true to that. And then another reporter asked him in this cabinet meeting today if he planned on this amnesty bill, and he said no, he's not looking for an amnesty solution to this. So he's sticking with the strong borders, and that's great. Now, yesterday, it wasn't even an immigration raid, but there was a bunch of ICE agents and National Guard members that were at MacArthur Park in California. And Gavin Newsom was all up in arms about this. Karen Bass was all up in arms about this. Karen Bass went down there because there were protesters, and she said that she was going to call the authorities and make sure that these people left and all this stuff. So Karen Bass said, I went down there and I was going to give them a piece of my mind. So she called authorities and said, why are these people here? And they were like, we're like already leaving. Yeah, she didn't do anything. So anyway, Gavin Newsom was asked about ICE raids in California and what is happening. He claims that we need illegal aliens here to rebuild the Palisades. Watch this.
Texas and California have the two highest percentage of people without documentation, immigrants working in our constructions unions and trades, people that are also not in the unions and trades. And so it's foundational to our recovery for him to, intentionally do what he did today. They know what they're doing. And then again, they have no idea what they're doing. And their ignorance is legendary. And the impacts of this will be felt in the recovery. And that's on them. Donald Trump owns that. He owns the cruelty. He owns the arrogance, not just the ignorance.
Donald Trump was planning on deporting illegals before the Palisades were on fire because he ran on this in 2015. He was a strong border president in 2016 through 2021 when he left. And now he's back and he's doing it again. He came back with a vengeance. President Trump was on the campaign trail saying, we're going to finish the wall. The One Big Beautiful Bill has all this money to embolden the ICE agents and give them all the support they need to do what they need to do to make the homeland safe again. So this should come as no surprise that President Trump was going to deport illegal aliens. This is what he was voted in to do, and he is doing just that. I'm going to take a quick break to tell you about Blackout Coffee, my favorite way to start the day. This is the good stuff. I don't mess around when it comes to my coffee. That's why I'm all about Blackout Coffee. It's a small batch, family-owned roastery right here in Florida. They craft bold, premium coffee that actually delivers on flavor. None of that burnt corporate nonsense. So whether you like it strong, black, or smooth with a little cream, they have got a roast for you. And guess what? They ship fresh to all 50 states. So wherever you are, you can get your hands on it. And because you scroll with the homies, you can get 20% off your first order. Just use code Haley, that's HAYLEY at checkout, or hit up blackoutcoffee.com/Haley to grab your bag. I've told you all about it. My favorite are the cold brew cans. I've tried the Bananas Foster. We have the cinnamon flavor here. So good. It's all good. I haven't tried anything that I don't like. So stop drinking weak coffee. Make the switch to Blackout Coffee today. Once again, it is blackoutcoffee.com/Haley. Use code Haley for 20% off your first order. All right. California has rejected Title IX. There was a proposal. Officials have rejected the proposal to keep their state, California, Title IX compliant. So, of course, they're not going to do that. They have to reject Title IX. You may remember that Gavin Newsom, do you remember this when he did Charlie Kirk's podcast? Or no, Charlie Kirk went on his podcast.
Yeah.
And Charlie Kirk got him to admit that men should not play in women's sports. And he's on video saying this is wrong and they have an unfair advantage. He can believe that. However, the Democrat Party has become synonymous with the LGBTQ community because of fear-mongering, truly. They have pushed a narrative that Republicans are actively stripping away the rights of gays and trans people, and women for that matter. So anyone who believes that lie flocks to the Democrat Party, and they feel like the virtuous person. They can pat themselves on the back and say, oh, well, I'm voting for the candidate who's not going to strip rights away from gays, theys, and women. So now the Democrat, in their entire party platform is Pride Month and abortion. Beats me how they didn't win in 2024. Because this irrational fear has turned people into one-issue voters, and the issue at the end of the day is victimhood. Everything boils down to victimhood. I'm a victim, you're a victim, we're all victims, and now we have to vote on behalf of our fellow victims. Even if you're not a personal victim and you have white guilt, you can vote on behalf of someone else and feel guilty on their behalf and vote on their behalf. This is the entire Democrat Party mantra. So Gavin Newsom can admit that men shouldn't play in women's sports, but telling the truth is no longer a winning strategy for the Democrat Party because their loyal followers were sold a lie and they bought it hook, line, and sinker. So of course, California can't betray all of their liberal voters by being Title IX compliant because they would lose everyone. How many trans people are in California? I want to look that up. It's got to be a lot more. Well, no. There's only 220,000 transgender, gender non-binary, and other gender diverse, whatever that means, individuals in California. Wow. And it's gone up big time. It was 92,000 transgender adults in California in 2017. So they're really popping off. They feel very emboldened in California. And again, this is why Gavin Newsom and this is why the state, they repeatedly choose mentally ill men over women every single time. Now, there is a cyclist, a veteran cyclist, Julie Cutt-Peterson, who was essentially forced to compete against a man in Wisconsin, and she spoke to Sandra Smith on Fox. Watch this.
So we're going to back it up to the final sprint where Debbie Milne was clearly going to win the race. I was second on her wheel. She was the race leader to watch. And out of nowhere came third place, KJ, and beat us both in the sprint. Unfortunately, Debbie was relegated to seventh place, different circumstance. And after the race, I was angry because I knew what had happened. I've raced thousands of races against women and not thousands, 100 races against women, thousands against in group rides, sprinting against men. And I knew at that sprint that that was a man's sprint. And at the finish line, I was upset. I said, I did not want to race against a man. And the whole audience just went, oh, like I shouldn't have said that. And in my mind, I'm like, I can say that. I have freedom of speech. I was raised believing in the Bible where men are created by God and God created women from men.
Amen to that. Someone in the chat just said, why do all these stories come out of Wisconsin? Great question. I was just going to say, because President Trump made an example out of Maine. Remember Maine? There were all these cases out of Maine, and President Trump threatened to withhold federal funding, and they did. And they need to do that to California. They need to do that to Wisconsin, because you're right. I was thinking that exact thing today when I saw this article. I was like, oh, where did this happen? Happened in Wisconsin. I thought, this is not the first time. This is not the second time, third time that I have seen this happen in Wisconsin. That's insane. It's totally insane. Who's the governor? I don't even know. Governor of Wisconsin. Tony Evers. Well, he better get the California and Wisconsin better get the main treatment. That's all I'm saying. But let's pull up this picture from the article there of the podium, because look at that, the sheer size of that man compared to the rest of the women competing.
I mean, he's 6'4", you know.
He's double the size of the woman on his right. And then let's just think, I mean, obviously, you know where I stand on trans and women's sports, obviously. But in all sports, I'm saying. But cycling, let's just think about, you have longer legs, you have stronger muscles, you have bigger bones, you have bigger lung capacity, all the things that make you a premier athlete. You have an advantage over these women in cycling. And this goes for all sports, but I'm saying in cycling in general, like your lung capacity, your legs, these are all things that are going to help you succeed, and you have an advantage in every single department. This dude is huge. I can't get over this photo. Someone in the chat said bigger penis. He's the only one with a penis. Or maybe he got it chopped off. I don't know. But he certainly did have a bigger one than all of them. Crazy. This is it looks photoshopped. Like, it doesn't even look real. You know the picture of the Bidens when they're sitting with the Carters, and the Carters look like little, like,
it's all wide
people?
angle, and so it's blowing the Bidens
this is
up.
Like, it looks like an optical illusion. Like, this is insane. Oh man, it's crazy. Someone in the chat said looks giant compared to them. Yeah, it really is. It's very sad. Very, very sad. Oh, man. All right, let's move on to Kevin O'Connor, because Kevin O'Connor, he was the White House physician under President Biden, and they're also close family friends. That's a good note to make. But he was supposed to be on Capitol Hill tomorrow, but he sought to delay the testimony. He wanted to wait until maybe July or August. And Congressman Comer rejected Kevin O'Connor's request to delay the Biden auto pen deposition to the House Oversight Committee. I love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. This is what the House Oversight Committee is meant to do. Bring this man, get him to swear on a Bible and tell the truth about what happened, who was in charge, and who was running the president. Why? I mean, there are a lot of questions that need to be answered, quite frankly, by Dr. Kevin O'Connor. He was Biden's physician. He, like I said, wanted to delay this until the end of July or early August because he wanted to, quote, reach an accommodation that will protect the very substantial privilege and confidentiality interests of Dr. O'Connor and former President Biden. We're going to get into that in just a moment because I have things to say on that. But he was supposed to appear before the committee on Wednesday, requested to delay the schedule, and they are not going to delay it. So here is the statement given by the House Oversight Committee spokeswoman. She said, it's clear that the latest letter from Dr. O'Connor's attorney is another delay tactic to stonewall the Oversight Committee's investigation. And it all seems to, I mean, Comer delayed the request, so he should be on Capitol Hill tomorrow, so we'll see. Here's what I have to say about confidentiality. I know that health it's a very private thing, But when you're president, you lose the right to be private about your health. This is why we have a public White House physician report, many reports that the American people, we suspect to be true. But I'm assuming during this hearing with the Oversight Committee, they will have O'Connor under oath and they will ask him if he was fully transparent in those reports. I also hope that they ask, by the way, remember we did this on this show when we tried to pull up the last report that O'Connor did and it wasn't coming up.
Yeah,
the links were dead.
Exactly. It was gone already.
So, I don't know.
What's this guy going to say? I mean, he totally knows. He totally knew. I mean, we knew. How's he not going to know?
I mean, we suspected it.
I mean, I guess technically and officially you can use the word suspect, but I would have bet my car.
Oh, me too. Me too. Oh, 100%. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's the one with the facts,
And
not
he knows.
us.
Yeah.
Like, we all saw Biden failing. We could all speculate that he was failing mentally, physically, all that. I mean, you can't deny that, right? But Dr. O'Connor is the one running tests, giving him prescription drugs.
And then who did he immediately tell to keep this quiet? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. So here are some other questions. They hopefully will ask him, when was Biden diagnosed with cancer? And he will have to be under oath and answer that. They will have to ask him, was he being tested for this while he was campaigning? Like, what did you know and when did you know it? Lots of questions. So if this all takes place tomorrow, I will be watching out for this because, he's got a lot of splaining to do. And I mean, it's not just Biden, by the way. Lloyd Austin went to the hospital and didn't tell anybody. Like, it's not just
Missed
Biden.
a week of work and nobody knew.
This is what I'm saying. When you're in the public eye, it's not even just when you're president. When you're in the public eye, if you're a public servant in any sense of the word, you have to be transparent with your constituents about whether or not you are fit to do the job. And if you are, I don't know, in the hospital, you can't do that job. Maybe temporarily. I'm not saying you have to give up the job, but this is important information to disclose to people. So Lloyd Austin, the same thing comes to mind with Kate Middleton. Remember when the royal family was putting out these random photoshopped AI photos and weird looking videos of Kate Middleton instead of just coming out and saying that she had cancer? This is how conspiracy theories start. Conspiracy theories start when the government doesn't tell you what's going on. Certainly, they're exacerbated when you put out AI photographs. People start asking questions. This is the same thing. And I said it back then. Kate Middleton, she's not the president. She's not the prime minister, but she's still a public figure. You kind of lose the right to suffer in silence. I hate to say that, but people want to know where you are. And when you're out of the public eye for months at a time, like she was, people are going to start asking questions. Instead of letting people ask questions and fill in the blanks by themselves, it's better to get in front of it. That's why we called out our government here for covering up for Biden. Same thing. You just don't get to do this in silence anymore. You signed up to be a public servant to the American people. You don't get to do that. You don't get to lie. Now, there's another Democrat book out, kind of like the Original Sin, Jake Tapper book. There's another one. All these Democrats are Monday morning quarterbacking what we did wrong, whatever. So here's this new book out. It's called 2024, How Trump Retook the White House and Democrats Lost America. And this is by, I'm using air quotes for people listening to the podcast, award-winning reporters Josh Dawsey, Tyler Pager, Isaac Arnsdorf. I've never heard of these people before, but apparently they know everything now, of course. After they lost the election, they get to go back and say, well, this person said this and this person said that. So apparently Biden was told to get the debate on the books, the infamous debate where they forced him to get out of the race after. They wanted Democrats, people in his corner, wanted Biden to get that debate on the books sooner rather than later. So in a 6-page memo, Biden was told that he needed to hold the first debate in the spring to reach a wider audience. Not sure how that makes any sense. I think people would have watched the debate no matter what time of the year it was in. But they were pushing him to do it earlier because they said he would have been able to debate better so that the American people can see you standing next to Trump, showing the strength of your leadership compared to Trump's weakness and chaos. That's what Biden's advisors argued. But they were really just urging him to debate earlier because they didn't know how much longer the guy had with all of his marbles. He only had half of them at the time of the debate. They didn't know how long they had until he went fully off the deep end. So then, also in this book, they have come to the conclusion that after that disastrous debate, Kamala and Biden called all of the Democrat governors to a meeting at the White House. Gavin Newsom was there, Tim Walz was there, all your favorite Democrat governors that we love to hate. So they invited all of them in the room, and in that meeting, according to this book, Kamala urged all of the Democrat governors to back Biden. Apparently, according to this book, Tim Walz was gung-ho to support Biden. He was very, very loyal, and maybe that's why VP Harris and then candidate Harris chose Tim Walz as her running mate, because he was very loyal to the party and very loyal to Biden when he was certainly at his lowest. And Harris told everyone, hey, I know Biden's the walking dead, but we all have to support him. And he was just like, yeah, I'll do it. So that's probably why he was chosen, because he was a useful idiot, and not so much because he could code talk to white people, like he said, white guys. You know, that's what she said. And he said that Tampon Tim was chosen because he could code switch and he could code talk to white guys and be, you know, talk about shooting guns and football and all that. Anyway, Politico earlier today also reported on a series of memos delivered to Harris during the campaign. So this was all that in the book was before Biden dropped out. Now Politico's reporting on these memos that were given to Harris when she was campaigning, urging her to change her strategy. Even top Democrats were warning her that she wasn't giving anyone a real reason to vote for her. According to the memos, they also suggested that she should go on Joe Rogan's podcast, which is interesting because she never ended up going on. Remember, they made the huge stink about it was the hurricane and, well, we're not going to come to Texas. You have to come to wherever we are. You have to come to... So she never went on Joe Rogan's podcast. But according to these memos that Politico put out today, Democrats wanted her to go on, which would have been smart for her.
For sure. I mean, that's 60 million people.
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably average for Rogan. I mean, the Trump one and the initial Musk one and then her like that, that'll have blown up.
Yeah. So she totally should have done that. So I don't know why. I guess she wasn't listening to these memos. They also told her, don't talk about January 6th. Don't talk about January 6th. Don't talk too much about it. Like, that's over. Kind of drop that. They also suggested that she differentiate herself from Biden, not to be too buddy-buddy with him, but to be honest and point out where mistakes had been made and give the American people reassurance that things will be different if Harris is elected. She didn't do that. She stood by Biden at every turn because she was also, I mean, when Biden did a bad job, she did a bad job. So it would have been very difficult for her to say, well, and she was the border czar. So it's like, I mean, how can you blame the border on Biden and then not take personal responsibility? I mean, you know, she was up Schitt's Creek without a paddle, but they also suggested that Harris should take a more common sense approach to the transgender issue and kind of taking the foot off the gas there and putting more of a focus on parental rights over anything else. Like, this shouldn't be a government issue. It should be a parental rights issue. That's straight out of the 2020 Loudoun County playbook that got Glenn Youngkin elected in Virginia. Parental rights is what won that man that election, because it was the trans stuff. It was, rogue woke teachers, and parents were so fired up and thought, it was a parent election in that gubernatorial race. So maybe that's where they got this advice to give to Kamala Harris, that maybe they could light a fire under the asses of some concerned parents. But again, the Biden administration also put out a DOJ memo claiming that concerned parents were domestic terrorists. So again, her track record and Biden's track record, really not good. Interesting. So that brings us to this weekend. I wanted to cover this yesterday and I didn't have time to get to it. But Kamala Harris cropped Biden out of her X post on July 4th. So she wrote, this 4th of July, I'm taking a moment to reflect. Things are hard right now. They are probably going to get worse before they get better. But I love our country. And when you love something, you fight for it. Together, we will continue to fight for the ideals of our nation. So pessimistic on July 4th, which has nothing to do with present day politics. It's just about us becoming independent. It is about American pride. You can't even, that's all she had to say, was just this pessimistic garbage. Anyway, if you could pull that back up, because Biden is standing next to her in this photo. That's Doug Emhoff, her husband. But Biden was standing next to Kamala Harris, and she strategically cropped Biden out from the photo. And it's pretty clear that they hate each other. And these are just photo ops see that shoulder over there? That's Joe Biden's. Now, I know that the Bidens are very selfish and power hungry, so much so that they lied to the American people about his mental health and physical health to maintain power for as long as they could. And then they realized, oh shit, we can't. I guess Harris should take the helm. Whoever decided that. It wasn't Jill Biden. It was probably someone at the DNC who held a gun to their heads. But the Harrises and the Emhoffs, whatever, they, it's certainly contentious, right? Like the relationship is not as it once was. The Bidens obviously hate that he was ousted, and they hate Harris because she didn't seal the deal, right? Which is ultimately the Biden's fault anyway for choosing Kamala Harris, because she was this identity politics dumb pick. And well, that's why you guys couldn't win, because you had a really bad ticket. But this is also very indicative of how Biden has become a third rail in Democrat circles.
Completely sawed off.
His own running mate doesn't want to be in a photo with him. It would have been, I think, nice to have the Bidens in it. They ran the country together. Why not keep them in the photo?
The question I'm asking about that is, even though he's staring at exploding fireworks in the sky, does Joe know it's the 4th?
Happy Easter. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
But,
chat.
Harris doesn't want to be seen with Biden because it'll be detrimental for her political future, if there even is one. And, there are grumblings about her running for Gavin Newsom's seat in California. And we've covered this on this show, that Dem donors are kind of a little scared to give her money because her campaign was so horrible. It ended up in the, millions of dollars in debt, and she didn't win. So it's like, is this really a good investment? Am I going to give her hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, maybe $1 million, if not more, and then she's just going to blow it? So they're not even really super enthused about her running for governor. And I think she is, or at least it's still in the cards, by this photo and cropping Biden out, because I think she's going to have to answer to a lot when she runs for governor. And, running for California governor will be easier for Kamala Harris to win than the president of the United States, certainly. But she still has a lot to answer to.
Well, we talked about this maybe a week ago. It's about, can she get the money?
Yeah, I don't think she can.
Can she raise the money?
I don't think she can. All right. Shall we get into scrolling time? Let's do it. Again, no update on the lizard. We haven't seen him. So no lizard cam today, but he could be anywhere.
He's not in our presence, but he's still in our hearts.
He might be in our presence. He's just not in our line of sight. And that's the scary part. I don't like to think about that. Okay, let's get into this Hakeem Jeffries Photoshop fail. I'm sure you all have seen this. Really embarrassing, by the way. Ooh, okay, so Congressman Hakeem Jeffries posted this photo on Instagram, and it's still up, by the way. It is still up on his Instagram. And if you notice, I don't know how you couldn't notice, the bench is looking a little funky. It's looking a little wavy in the area around his waist. What is he trying to do there? Because that's not what the benches look like.
Oh, they slimmed him down.
It looked like they're trying to slim him down. Also, people were saying make him look taller.
And what's he looking at?
I don't know. He's
Like,
just,
what is
for
happening?
dramatic effect, he's looking off in the distance. People are saying in the chat that he's dial-up Obama. People are saying face app. I mean,
Someone has grabbed that photo in an editing app and squeezed, and that's what you're seeing.
but
right
you
there. They
need
slammed
to
him down.
you need to have editing blindness to not see that egregious mistake. You can't post that. This is why you got to send the picture to your group chat and say, "Hey fam, I'm going to post this. Does it look okay?" And then if you have real friends, they say, "No, this looks crazy. You can't post this."
Were there any context
He has
as to
no
why
friends.
he's doing the one-legged lean back
I don't know.
on a park bench outside in
I don't
front
know.
of some weeds?
He's trying to look cool, I guess. It didn't work. He looks really bad. And he is leaving the post up, I think, because he knows if he deletes it, he's going to get hate for that too. And it already lives on the internet. So, all right. He's been slammed on the internet. So we can go through some of these memes. He's getting memed real hard. Oh, there he goes. Even bigger. I mean,
think
even
I
small.
think he
He's
might
looking
have-
very svelte.
Sprained an ankle?
He's looking very svelte. But yeah,
He's
and then
got
he has
club
like,
foot.
it looks like he has slippers on. Wow. Hakeem Jeffries in the Biden family portrait. I love it.
Come
he
on over.
fits in perfectly. He fits in perfectly. Where is he in this photo? Am I
Hit him
covering
in
it?
square.
But where is he? I can't see it. Am I covering it?
Oh, yeah, you're on top
Oh.
of him.
Move me. Oh, Lord. Oh, there he is. Yes, perfect. Very natural. Very natural. Yes. Did they make him skinnier in that? Oh, of course. These are SpongeBob biceps. I would recognize those anywhere.
That's the Vin Diesel.
Yep. Looking good. Not wavy at all. Looks very real. Not at all edited.
He looked like he just came through a wormhole.
Oh my gosh, it's so stupid. So dumb. All right, let's get into number 16 because it's already 54, so let's get into it. Yeah, let's get into it. So I saw this video because we'll have a conversation about this. Then we could talk about the TSA no shoes things after this. I saw this post on TikTok. It went massively viral. And this couple is very young and they live in Utah. Not judging, just giving you the information. And they posted to TikTok for the entire internet to see their controversial marriage agreements that they signed. To me, this seems crazy, but let's get into them. First, oh, well, I can't see that. Hold on. Let me pull it up on my thing so I can read it. Okay, they have a spousal political alignment clause. And if you are married in the chat, you have to let me know if this is something that you would sign on to and what you think. I need all my married people in the chat to weigh in. This young couple, they have a spousal political alignment clause. We do not believe in political or ideological beliefs changing. It is unfair to change mid-marriage. Is that true? Do you think that?
I mean, it's hard to tell somebody not to evolve intellectually as a person. So
right. But is it fair to say I don't want to be married to this person anymore if they become a Trump supporter, if they become a Kamala Harris supporter, or whatever? Name the next crazy person.
Justin says that, could be.
Is that valid?
I don't know. I mean, like you love the person, so there's so many more characteristics that transcend beyond what he believes politically.
And I think you have to just have a conversation. You have to grow with someone. You're supposed to grow together in your relationship. You're not expected to be the same people that you were on your wedding day. You've got to grow and evolve together. And someone in the chat said not biblical. Yeah. Someone else in the chat said not everyone talks politics. True. Someone said hell no, wouldn't sign. This dude should run away. Very controlling vows. Pretty ignorant. Okay, so here's more. Income parity requirement. Our incomes must have a 50-50 ratio to prevent financial power imbalance. I don't know how you can plan for this. Like if some person gets a promotion at work, they have to...
I can't take it.
They have to turn it down.
Sorry, my wife makes this amount.
Or how long does the other person have to match the salary? Like if one person gets a promotion, the other person has to get a promotion. You have to have equal. I mean, it's insane. It's totally insane. There's no way to logistically do that.
Yeah, this doesn't feel capitalistic, does it? I mean, this is
50-50. Also, who wants to go 50-50? Women bring certain things to the table. Men bring other things to the table. Like, it's a partnership, but it's not 50-50. It's got to be, everyone's got to bring 110%. That's how it works. And some days you're going to bring 10 and your husband has to bring 90 and vice versa. Like, not everyone's going to be at their best every day. Not financially. I'm just saying in terms of bringing things to the table.
Justin is reacting to this next this next
yeah, so
tenet
this next one
of marriage.
Marriage expiration date. Our marriage expires every 7 years unless both partners want to reapply since we got married young. This isn't like you re-up for a subscription.
Well, what's he going to do? Kick her off the back of that side by side?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is a threat. Yeah, if you want to just get married for 7 years and then decide later, don't get married. That's not what a marriage is. Marriage is for life, till death do us part. It's not till 7 years and then we figure it out later.
What do you get to the 7-year mark and was like, for a year you made 75 cents more than I did?
In sickness and
It's
in health,
over.
unless we're at 6 years and 11 months, then I might change my mind because I'm about to not re-up this marriage. All right, here's another thing in this controversial marriage. Emotional labor audits. We log time spent on emotional household and relationship tasks. It's important to be even. This is the least crazy, I think. I think logging it is where it gets a little toxic because I don't think that you need to be tit for tat with your partner. It's not like, I did this, so you have to do this. It's like, hey, you're doing this, so let me do this.
Can you imagine
I'll
that
get you
shared
next
note
time.
that they share?
No, it's insane.
It's just like, I smiled at you, sub point.
It's almost like they're
unloaded the dishwasher.
It's almost like they're trying too hard to have this like perfect partnership, and there's no such thing. There's give and take, and there's no way to make things even all the time. Now, here's the next one. Marriage suspension. Either partner can request a temporary 3-month marriage suspension, but only once every 3 years. So not only can they decide to re-up every 7, halfway through, they get to take 3 months off and then do what?
Yeah, just call time out.
We weren't on a break. We did this in the Friends episode. Remember when they took a break? We weren't on a break. Breaks don't exist. There's no way to do a break and have it be a clean break.
This
no
has
way.
no shot. This has no. Bless them. I hope they're
we're
happy.
not done.
Can you imagine the kids' contracts?
Oh, we're not done.
God. 10 years hard labor.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to have some schedule with the kids doing dishes and the kids doing whatever. They're going to run a tight ship. And now they also have a surveillance-based relationship monitored via tracking apps, phones, computers, devices, etc. So they are spying on each other at all times. Whew. That's crazy too, because you're spying on each other all the time. What if they're during this 3-month hiatus where they're not in a relationship?
You got a drone in the sky. You're getting a drone.
Do they get to check each other's phones for what they did in the 3-month hall pass? I don't know. Now, this is crazy too. Marriage approval boards must be approved by a family board before marriage. No toxic family members allowed. So they pick and choose what family members get to essentially arrange their marriage or approve of their marriage.
So they have a board, like a board of directors.
Yeah, but it's their family.
Do they convene every 7 years, or how does that work?
Yeah. Right? Do the parents get to decide, like, oh no, my son gets to take a break and date someone else for 3 months?
So if they get pissed off at Elon, like Tesla's getting, are you gonna vote him off? You know, I mean, does the board get to? You are no longer married to this guy. The board has spoken.
How many more slides are there? One more. Okay. State enforced marriage caps only marry once in their lifetime. If the marriage ends, remarriage legally forbidden. This is insane. They get to cheat on each other for 3 months every 3 years. They get to decide if they want to re-up or not.
You have to make the same amount of money.
If they decide to not re-up, they can never get married again.
What? These are the kind of people that you see on Love Island.
These people are getting married and I'm not. I swear, I'm not that crazy.
You got a better contract.
So let's see what people say in the chat. People are saying this will not work. This is going to be a disaster. I hope family didn't pay for the wedding. Yeah. LOL, LOL. These kids are attention seekers. I actually like this last rule that people can't marry again. I kind of agree with that. Someone said Haley is taking notes. Surely not. I'm taking notes on what not to do. That's what I'm doing. Anyway, I thought you all
Is there a
would like
follow-up
that.
piece to this somehow? Can
Well,
we keep
I'll
an eye on
follow them and
them?
I'll let you know what happens.
All right. Keep an eye out.
I'm going to be like, remember that day in July when we covered that crazy couple? They're divorced. Anyway, I thought you all would think that that was entertaining. I did. Best of luck to the happy couple or not so happy couple, but it's not something that I would sign up for. Certainly not normal. But anyway, thank you all for scrolling along with me. I had fun. I will see you right back here tomorrow. In the meantime, if you want to follow me on social media, you should do that at Haley Karania on most platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Truth Social, X. That's it. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.